Welcome to this week's Cattle Call. I'm Susan Littlefield. We're going to kind of do a recap of what happened last week with the NCBA meeting. It was a very interesting, intense meeting, shall we say, and I think if you ever want to see grassroots efforts, it was happening at that meeting. I don't care if you're an NCBA, local cattle guy, local RCAF, whatever it is, Farm Bureau, Farmers Union, corn, soybeans, whatever group it is, you needed to see what was happening in that room because there was communication better than I think I've ever seen. And as Brad Kooima joins us, Kooima and Varlick out of Sioux Center, Iowa, I wish we could have taken the motivation that you all had during that live cattle marketing meeting and transferred that to Washington, D.C., because I think we might get some stuff done.
That's very, I think that's astute, it's kind, and accurate. In fact, in the hallways afterwards, well, and a lot got done in the hallway during it, as you are aware. That was the one thing that was a consistent takeaway, no matter which side of the issue that you were on, that there was some, I think, pride in that we were able to at least come to a compromise when you had an association that was deeply divided over an issue that was controversial and polarizing, frankly. I haven't been involved forever with this thing, but a number of years. I've never seen a debate. There were times, yes, it was contentious. There's passionate feelings on both sides. I ended up personally spending a lot more time at the microphone than I expected I was going to. But sometimes you can't keep still, because I feel like the little guy and the cow-calf guy has to have a voice too, and it's not only about the corporate vertically integrated type cattle feed. Our industry is bigger than that. So, as far as if you're interested in parliamentarianism or all the other stuff, it was quite a day. Did we exactly get what I was hoping for in a best case scenario? No. Me in the north and the coalition that was basically Iowa, Nebraska, Missouri, and the Texas stock growers. And then there was, I believe, 19 other states that had signed off, but that was the core Ford group. But we got something, and I think we have something that has some teeth in it and something that has a bit of a stick in it. And so yeah, it was quite an experience. I don't think I'll forget it for a long time.
When you guys went into that meeting, obviously there was a lot of back of the hallway discussions going into it. Did you think it would be a 6+ hour meeting to accomplish what you guys did come to on a unanimous agreement with the October 1 deadline?
No, we didn't. And obviously you don't go into a meeting with an issue that was as important to both sides without both sides having done a lot of preparation. The night before, we were meeting, trying to, plan. Okay, who's going to talk to Idaho because they're on the fence yet? Who's talking to Florida because they can't decide how to vote with their, 8 vote or 4 votes or whatever they had, and et cetera, et cetera. And the other side was doing the same thing, of course. I, as late as the night before, it was too close to call. And either we were, depending upon who said what, we were either ahead by 2 votes or behind by 2 votes. So we honestly, I thought, as close as that is, I was anticipating that the meeting obviously was going to take longer than the allotted 9:15 to 11:15. And there was other business to do too. That wasn't just the only thing. We were trying to pass an amended LMR policy that had a bunch more teeth in it that we didn't get done. We would have liked to have an LMR policy that said if somebody fails for confidentiality, all fail. Tough. Now you figure out how to do it. An LMR with a stick on it, right? So that failed. So that was not a good setup for us because we thought we had a shot at getting that passed too. So thankfully we had, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sure you'll ask me how we finally got to the compromise, but you had a situation where, thinking in terms of what the leadership had to feel like, and I'm talking about the leadership of the NCBA and what they expressed to us in the hallway and in the front of the room when we'd go to recess, and it was to have a association split this deeply. I mean, 51-49. How do you move forward as an organization when it lacks consensus? I know it was their hope and most of our hope that, let's come out of this still as strong a body as we are, but that's a body that's still working and representing all of its constituents.
So how did you guys get to a compromise? Because there was a lot of breaks where you went to the back of the room. I've got an amazing picture of a group of you guys clustered together having that discussion. And how did you finally come to an agreement that could then be sent to the board?
Well, we were actually talking about social distancing. Just kidding. Or the lack thereof, right? Yeah, we all I wore a mask more last week than I ever wore. Anyway, but well, we had talked about the night before. What if it looks like we're going to lose? What's the loser's speech going to look like? What are we going to do if that looks like it is? And so we had some dialogue on both sides of the fence of, is there a way we can combine what was controversial, of course, was one word: mandatory, right? Everyone was in agreement that we have to increase transparent cash cattle trade. Everybody agrees on that. It's how you get there. That was the disagreement. My belief would be that it won't happen. The packer won't participate unless there is a stick or a carrot, call it whatever you want to, but that's what I believe. I'd like to think otherwise. If they can pull that off, if we can as an industry pull it off to have a big increase in the number of negotiated cattle trade, transparently done, with all four major packers participating, awesome. Then we've gotten to the spot that we all want to be at without the government having to come in heavy-handedly. But so that was really the issue. So could we combine somehow those two strongly held beliefs into a compromise that we can move forward? So that's where we got to propose the deal where, okay, we'll give you a period of time, even though it's somewhat short window, where you prove that you can voluntarily move that needle up to levels of robust price discovery numbers, which are those numbers, and their numbers. It's based on NCBA supported research. It's research that's out there. It's research by Dr. Stephen Coons. And we also are supporting all kinds of further research to keep moving this to make sure we're staying current. But that's where we're going to start. And as this working group then moves toward deciding when those trigger events are going to happen, and what I mean by that is, if we don't get to those numbers, then what? 30 days or 60 days? It'll be sooner rather than later. But those details of the arrangement are going to get worked out by October 1 by a working group. I'm part of that working group. And then if it can't be done voluntarily, we now have policy that says now we can have a legislative solution to make it happen.
So as you look at all that information and everything that was compiled after 6+ hours, and it went to the board, the news release came out, said you guys all unanimously agreed. So that cattle producer sitting back home goes, okay, so what does that mean to me? What does that mean? How is it going to affect my cattle operation?
Yeah, and I read social media too. There was a fair number of people that thought it was another waste of time, another kick it down the can, down the road, another typical deal where nothing happened. I disagree. I think that the takeaway for the cattle guy that's sitting in Nebraska, Missouri, Iowa, to me is that, well, we've got two uniquely different styles of cattle feeding. You've got AMAs, alternate marketing agreements. You've got guys up here in the north that are calling 3, 4, 5, 6 packers trying to negotiate for a bid. Can we still cooperatively? Can we voluntarily? Can that region from the south that doesn't trade enough cattle, do they mean what they say? I think some of them do. And can we move that thing together? Then the little guy, I think, can say that, well, if we do that, if we have more cash trade, and we're going to get it one way or the other now, because it's going to be a legislative deal or it's going to be a voluntary deal. That improves the competitiveness for my calves if I'm a cow-calf guy. That improves my chances if I'm a small, medium-sized feeder to get competitive bids. the fairness of us getting the same price in the north as these guys in the south with cattle that are inferior quality when our cattle are the highest grading cattle in the universe. It's grossly unfair. So I hope that the small guy can take away some hope, you know, that maybe, just maybe things will improve. We're not asking for an edge like they've got on the formula deals. We just want it to be fair and the same so that we can compete. I think we can grow cattle a lot cheaper. I think we can do a better job of managing it, but we need to be able to be competitively, you know, equal in the marketplace.
All right, sounds good. We'll see what October 1 brings, right?
I'm sure we'll have a blizzard of meetings between now and then. I'll keep you posted.
All right, Brad Kooima has been joining us this week for Cattle Call. I'm Susan Littlefield.